This is probably just a typo thing, but everywhere that it says like blowing off steam, it says team instead. So it just says describe how you blow off
Blowing
team
the
or pull
team.
yourself.
Now that's some good team bonding.
That'll clear stress, all right.
It really will, yeah.
Listen, when you're on an adventure, you gotta take what you can get.
True.
Glowing gauntlets sounds kind of lit, man. Let me punch people with magic.
I'm so far, gotta say, I'm fucking with this. I'm fucking with this pretty hard.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Bella Gamer, and today I present to you the second embargo has gone down, the closed beta information we got when we were making our characters for Daggerheart. And I hope those clips before have satiated your appetite a little bit, or whet your appetite a little bit, as there's going to be a lot of Daggerheart content coming out on this channel this week as I go through and do a full review that will be coming out tomorrow from the time that this video is airing. Now, in the closed beta, we didn't have access to the full rules, or at least the rules they're presenting in the open beta. We only had access to the rules on character stuff so that we could go through it, make some characters ourselves, and kind of give our impressions on it, which is the point of this video. But rest assured, we're going to be not only looking into, Daggerheart for most of this week, but we'll be doing a live play so you can see it in action as well, which you can see here on the channel at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, actually. And if you want to see more content on Daggerheart or all things tabletop RPGs, go ahead and click that subscribe button and like the video so other people get a chance to see it. And as well, you can actually go to our Discord linked in the description and get notified anytime one of our videos comes out. But that's going to be it for this part of the video. I'll get back to what our impressions were, as you can hear some of the fun things that we came across when we were making our characters, and get to see the fun, wacky characters that we are playing today. So you can kind of consider this a Session 0 video as well. Anyway, thank you so much, and on with the show. We have gone through, we've looked the game over, we've made our characters. I have to say there's some things that just, it's hard to make a decision on because you just don't know what it means exactly. Now that we got everything kind of figured out, and we'll do, a little playtesting here at the end. But first, we're going to introduce our characters, and then we're going to ask everyone one of our connection questions, because I think these are really funny. I'll start, and this is no one has to take this seriously. We're doing this because this is kind of the prompts that they ask you, but it also can represent the kind of characters you can make. So, and I say our group is pretty average for the tabletop, maybe a little bit above average because we do play a lot. But I made Iglaf, aka Iggy Farseer. I'm a 3-eyed giant, loreborn giant. I come from an academy school, or an academy city that studies magic and magical history. I was a really good student. I had high marks, and I was an asset to my society. But then Mark Riverton screwed me over, framed me for a heinous crime, and I was ostracized. Now I'm on a quest to find the great tome of Wiglaf Truthsayer, who is an Arcano historian, because if I find this book, it will be a great deed that will overwrite any of my perceived misdeeds. My rival is Mark Riverton, who framed me because, as a Riverton, he's just jealous of how tall I am. I have a teeny, harmless, astral elemental pet, and I use as my primary weapon hand runes, so I just use my fists with magic runes, and I have a wand for shooting people at a far distance. I took the cards Book of Tifar, which gives me Wild Flame. I can make a spellcast roll against up to 3 enemies that are very close to me, and flames erupt from my hands, dealing 2d6 magical damage to any that I succeed against. I have Magic Hand, it's essentially a Mage Hand. And I have Mysterious Mists, which I can spend hope to cast a temporary thick fog that encircles everyone, and we're all considered hidden to everyone outside the fog. And then my other card is Book of Ava, which gives me Power Push. I make a spellcast roll against a target within melee range, and on success, they are blasted back to far range and take a D10 magic damage. I have Tava's Armor. You may spend hope to give your target you can touch 1d6 to their armor score the next time they spend an armor slot. So, Booter. Hey. You cannot stack Tava's Armor multiple times on a single target. Sad. And Ice Spikes. I can make a spellcast roll to summon large ice spikes within very far range. You may also treat them as ranged weapons against a target or group. On success, they deal a d6 physical damage. Oh, whoops. I didn't describe my character using these descriptions.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't even use the descriptions. I just made my own.
You have to use the description.
What the fuck, Alex?
It's on
I
here.
made my own.
Somebody fire this man.
I'm
I think we can give
lanky.
us-
Like 'em.
I'm lanky and tall. My clothes are layered. I wear robes because I want to be mysterious. My eyes are wintry white. I like that. That's kind of cool. My skin tone is kind of like an ashy color. My attitude, astute, introverted, but insatiably curious. Okay. I forgot my experiences.
Damn.
I have +2 magical historian. My character's looking for a big famous book after all. And I have a +1 to Down with Mark Riberton.
Yes.
Anytime I get to mess him up, I get a +1.
Alrighty. So for mine, I am playing a Qatari rogue named Trick Mercy. I was kicked out of my community because I was caught forging a document that would have sent a public figure con man to jail. And I am currently being constantly followed by my younger sister because of my methods, as I have a habit of defacing architecture and art to prove a point. And most person I was sad to say goodbye from after being kicked out of the community was my parents, because they loved me despite everything I had done. They are tall. They're 6 feet tall with broad shoulders. Oh, she is. They wear clothes that are dark and tactile, with eyes that are like the night sky. Their fur is the color of falling snow, and they have an attitude of a righteous con man. Let's see, primary weapon is the dagger, wearing breastplate armor. And for my 2 abilities I picked up, I picked Pick and Pull, which gives me an advantage on any attempt to pick a non-magical lock, disarm a trap, or steal an item from a target. And this includes either by stealth or by force. And then Deaf Deceiver, spend a hope to take advantage on a roll you make to deceive or trick someone into believing a lie you tell them. My experiences are being a con man, primarily, as that is my main profession, and my other experience is constantly facing up the charlatans of public view, so her phrase is constantly down with the public charlatans.
Hi, I made Slug Mercy, Qatari Seraph, with the subclass Winged Sentinel. This allows me to take flight until my next roll with Fear. And while flying, I can also I spend a hope to fly, and I can spend an additional hope to pick up and carry another creature that is approximately my size or smaller. With the cards Reassurance, once per short rest, after an ally attempts an action roll, but before the consequences take place, you may offer assistance or words of support. When you do, they may re-roll their dice and accept the new roll, as well as Forceful Push. When you make a successful melee attack, you can push the target out of melee range and spend hope to make them temporarily vulnerable. On a success with hope, add an additional 1d6 of your damage dice to this attack. I am a seraph of the Egyptian god Ptah, who gave me wings and the strength to save my tribe. When he did grant me the strength, I grew wings. The right one is green, and the left one is purple. As well as, I grew an additional foot in height to going from 5'11", being an inch shorter than my sister, to now nearly a foot taller than her. And I communicate with him with using a hammer and chisel that I was gifted to carve into stone, and he can give me a response back. He can also talk to me first, and I just have to carve back. But all words disappear after we are done, so the stone returns normal, and that we don't damage anything. My experiences are crafting at +2, and the wicked must suffer at +1. I use a hollowed axe and a round shield, and wear breastplate armor. I have clothes that are glowing and made of natural fibers, eyes like endless oceans, a body that is tall and toned, that is the color of rose, and an attitude like an angel.
Man, I hate going first. I fucked everything. I didn't tell anyone what Loreborn does or School of War. It's okay. I fail so everyone else can succeed.
Thank you, Cam.
You did it on purpose so that you can make all of us look better.
I make you all look good. Loreborn, I pretty much get advantage on any time I look into historic stuff. On history, culture, or politics of a prominent person or place, which for me would be Wigloff. Truthsayer, and then I'm also a giant, so all my melee weapons are considered very close range, and also I gain an additional hit point slot at character creation. And then for the wizard, I got School of War, which gave me an extra armor slot, and whenever I make a successful attack roll with fear, I add a d6 to the damage.
So also, did forget to say some things. Katari, you get on agility rolls. You can make mark a stress to reroll your hope die. If you do, take the new result instead. And my community, Wanderborn, nomadic pack. You add a nomadic pack to your inventory, and once per session, you may spend a hope to reach into this pack and pull out a common item that is useful in this situation. Work with a GM to figure out what this item is.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Cam to, after this, secretly go back and re-record his thing, so the final edit, no one ever knows that he messed it up.
True.
You
And
just-
he's
yeah, just go
super
in
epic.
Super detailed. It's like eloquent. There's beautiful music behind it.
The best part of all of our introductions, but he did it first, so we're all copying him.
True.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have like Mozart playing anytime I'm talking. And it's gonna immediately cut short when anyone else talks.
Oh,
And just
Give
like
the
yeah, just have it very obvious, be like a different time, and like really obviously you're wearing a different shirt. It's like, all right, I'll start, and then like you look up, full screen, different lighting, dramatic music begins as you retell the tale of your man.
You
You
know,
order a full
honestly,
interpretive dance.
if y'all start, I have a Patreon now. If you didn't know, you could go and put into the Patreon and pay for all these wonderful edits that everyone here is mentioning, because I'm not talented enough to do that myself. So yeah, check it out down in the description below. Speaking of, Alex, you're next.
Switching to voice activity. There we go. Hello. Okay, I'm playing my character a Clank, who's a robot who were all created for a very specific purpose. They have also a fun effect where when generating an experience at character creation, you get to choose one of these purposes and add an extra +1 to it. So actually, technically, I do have a +3 to one of them. The Clank character I am playing, his name is Gate Number 4. He is a highborn who was created to open doors. He's basically a very fancy robot greeter for a government building that archives like magical items and the like. It's a very cushy gig. One thing the highborn community thing does is it gives me an inheritance. I have advantage in any roll I make when consorting with nobles, negotiating prices, or leveraging my reputation to get what I want, and I take an extra handful of gold. It is a pretty cushy gig. It was nice work. You get to meet new people. It paid pretty well. It's nice. It's also very orderly and very functionally, it's what he was created to do. It was very nice. But sadly, one day, some wizard was pretty lackadaisical in packing his suitcase and dropped a weird whispering orb. They clattered on the ground, and when touching it, because he obviously, gate number 4 had to go return it, he picks it up, this whispering orb that smelled of ozone and static electricity, and then supercharged him with chaotic magics, as he is now a sorcerer of the elemental origin. I picked lightning because lightning magic is cool, which lets me channel this element into unique harmless effects, which I can also spend a hope to describe how my control over this element helps a current action, which can either add a +2 to the action roll before making it, or a +3 damage. And after this, he was kind of shunned from his community for this, as now he is a chaotic sorcerer, very designated away, and also for the fact that this magical item, which is in his inventory, that is one of the inventory options for the sorcerer, cannot leave his possession. It is very obviously a cursed item, and that wouldn't really fly. One of the background questions about it is specifically, what did you do to make the people in your community wary of you? Yeah, that specifically that. And for a robot that was designed to, open and close doors for people, a door was opened in him, and he cannot close it. That is how he puts it. I guess other stuff that gotta mention. Using a dual staff for that far, casting. I have of the actual, cards that he can use. I have Unleash Chaos, which is a pretty fun ability. At the beginning of a session, I place a number of tokens equal to the spellcast trait on this card, which is my Instinct, which is currently at +2. You can make a spellcast roll against a target within far range and spend any number of tokens to channel raw energy from within yourself and unleash against them. On a success, roll a number of d10 equal to the tokens you spend, and do that much magic damage to the target. Mark a stress to replenish this card with tokens up to your spellcast trait. Clear all tokens at the end of the session. So yeah, it's just kind of inflict raw damage. And then from Midnight, Rain of Blades, to spend 2 hope to conjure throwing blades that strike any enemies close to you. Make a spellcast roll, and all targets that you succeed against take d10 magic damage. If any targets you hit are currently vulnerable, they take an additional 2d10 magic. So going for the magical damage thing, because I like dealing a damage. And then appearance-wise, a medium frame robot, about 4 feet tall. He's got a breastplate on, but currently wearing some robes. He once was very bright silver with golden trim. Very fancy robot for some fancy nobles, but sadly it's been kind of weather-worn and damaged because he's currently not in that same community. He's tried his absolute damnedest to keep it up. He buys paint when he can and repaints over himself, but obviously not much you can do without that same level of income. So there's some weather worn, and then some burns because he sadly had to learn his magic from trial and error. So there's sometimes some electrical backlash that is hit from that. Though at least he's not flesh and blood, so he can't fully feel it, And I think that's basically everything.
Everyone meet Ardol King Oyster. He is a Vengeance Guardian and a Ridgeborn Fungrel, which is a big mushroom person. Specifically, a king oyster mushroom. They grew up in a tribal setting where everyone was very interconnected and sort of not very technologically advanced, but one with their environment. Unfortunately, one day, Ardol's brother, who they very much looked up to, was killed in an unfortunate fight. And while their brother was killed, they were both connected to the fungal hive mind, which we have. And as such, my ritual to enter the hive mind is to think of my brother and meditate on his memory. And as such, entering the hive mind is always accompanied by the final thoughts of my brother before his passing. Shortly before setting off on this adventure, I set out on a journey to find our tribe's chief, who had gone on a dangerous journey months prior, because the chief's child was born, and I am tasked with taking care of this child and delivering them to our chief, wherever they may be, so that they can be cared for and trained in the fungal way. And I'm always uncomfortable in my own skin and self-conscious of whether the mark I leave on the fungal hive mind will be meaningful and looked upon fondly, as someone who is very much aware of the mark everyone leaves on their hive mind with the relationship with their brother and their brother's hive ghost. Experience is meditate inwardly +1, and those who attempt to harm my allies must pay +2. I have evasion 2, which I've been told means that it's impossible to miss me if you try to attack me, but that's fine because I have other deterrents for attacking me, such as my Vengeance Guardian ability, which is that when I'm hit by an enemy in melee range, I can use an armor slot to reduce the damage and immediately do damage equal to my armor value, which is 14. That also gives me an extra armor slot to use to reduce damage. And then, on top of that, one of the cards I've taken is of the blade type, called Retaliation, where when I take damage from a creature in melee range, I may mark a stress to immediately deal weapon damage to the creature at half proficiency, rounded up. My other card is from the Valor type, called I Am Your Shield, and when an ally is very close to me, and they're going to take damage, I can mark a stress to stand in its way and take the damage instead, and then reduce the damage by a value equal to my strength trait. I may also reduce the damage by spending armor slots. So if no one's attacking me for fear of me murdering them with my infinite armor, I can make them. From Ridgeborn, I gain +1 armor and also advantage on traversing dangerous cliffs and ledges, navigating harsh environments, and survival knowledge, which will help me on my journey. My equipment of choice would be full plate armor with a hallowed axe and tower shield. So I can do both physical and magical damage. For my description, my clothes are weathered and tactical. My eyes are like an endless ocean. My body is tall, rotund, stocky, and broad. My color is fine sand for the most part, with ashes as my mushroom caps. And my attitude is that of an elephant and a caretaker. Fungal, their ability is to interact with other fungal through their hive mind of information. So to speak with other fungal across distance to access their hive mind of information, make an instinct roll. Character creation, describe what ritual you must perform to tap into this connection. And that ritual is sort of meditating on the memory of my brother.
Alright. So his name is Fable Fury. He is a ranger, orc, and a wayfinder, which that means, one moment. He has apex predator, I can't speak, which means a mark a stress to increase proficiency by +1 when rolling damage. And when you deal damage to an enemy, you can never hit lower than the minor threshold. And then another feature is path forward, which means when you're headed for a place that you previously visited or carry an object with you that hasn't been there before, you can identify the shortest and most direct path to the destination. And then experiences, he's a tracker, which I have +2 in, and he's a sharpshooter, which he has +1. And he has a short bow and a short sword. One of them was, did a terrible creature hurt your community? And if you're about to track it down, like what unique trail it had. For him, he didn't really have animals that hurt his community. He's just always been fascinated by nature and went out to the woods alone for several days, which gave his parents a heart attack constantly. And then the other question was, what was your first kill? And it was a bear, and it almost killed him too. The one thing he lost was his pinky finger, and that's why he has a golden prosthetic on his left hand. And then the last question was, you've traveled to many dangerous lands, but what's one place that you refuse to go to? And that place is Seaborn, because he can't swim.
Did you describe where you're from? What community you're from?
Wildborn. Which gives him Lightfoot, which means he moves silently and he takes advantages on any action rolls without being heard. And you spend a hope to grant this ability to an ally that's very close to you. So one of them was Gifted Tracker, which means when you make a spellcast roll or to track or ask the GM for one question, you'd be able to learn about a specific creature or group of creatures based on signs of their passage. If you spend hope before the roll, you can double the cast trait as the modifier. And then if you encounter any creatures you've tracked, you gain evasion against them with +2. And then the other one I chose was Vicious Entangle, which means you make a spellcast roll against the target within far range. On one success, roots and vines reach out from the ground and temporarily restrain them, dealing a 1d8 in physical damage. And on a success, you may also spend hope to temporarily restrain enemies that are very close to your target. So he's built like a tank. He's big and tall. He wears more tactical leather armor. He has really, really short haircut, dark blue eyes, and greenish skin.
I am playing Venas Dustberry. He, him pronouns. Wildborn. He is a wildborn halfling. Wildborn giving him allows him to naturally move silently, so he takes advantage on action rolls you make without being heard. And he can spend a hope to also grant this ability to an ally in very close range to him. As a halfling, at the beginning of each session, he gives everyone in the party a hope, and he may always re-roll a 1 on the hope dice. If I do, I have to take the new result. And see, he is a Call of the Brave warrior. As a warrior, he whenever he makes a roll to physically hinder a creature that isn't a weapon attack, such as a shove, trip, grapple, etc., you can spend a hope to have advantage on it. On a success, you can choose to deal 1d8 physical damage to the target. He also gains combat training, which means he can ignore the burden when equipping weapons. And he may place primary weapons into his secondary weapon slot if he so chooses. He always adds additional physical damage equal to the value of his level when he attacks. And as a Call of the Brave, when he fails a roll with fear, he actually gains a hope. And once per long rest, before you attempt something of incredibly dangerous or face off against a foe who clearly outmatches you, you describe what ritual you perform or preparation you make to clear 2 stress and gain 2 hope. I took two of the bone cards. One is Deft Maneuvers. You can spend a hope to move anywhere within a far range without making an agility roll to get there. He is also nimble, so while this card is in your loadout, you add your agility score to your evasion. He wears leather armor, kind of taking into account the evasion from that, as well as his nimbleness, granting him a 13 evasion. He only has 3 armor, though. His weapons that he utilizes, he dual wields a longsword and a short sword. The longsword actually has reliability, adding a +1 to attack rolls, while the short sword actually adds +2 to his primary weapon damage. His background questions were his background answers were anyway. His grandfather Naruma Dustberry actually taught him how to fight. Unfortunately, they had to stay behind because they are very much past their prime. Had an individual who named Alexin Crow, who defeated me in battle and left me to die. And I thought this was a betrayal because he was actually hired on to help with the mission that we were doing. And I thought he was a ally, but all he was a sellsword wanting gold, and actually accepted a bribe to turn on us. And in that fight, he actually took me down. And a legendary place that I have always wanted to visit is Zabalba, the city of golden dreams. Why it's particularly special to me is I've always heard stories about it, and I've always just been excited to go there. Through his experiences, he actually has gained +2 to patience from his grandfather. And due to his betrayal from Alexin Crow, he actually has a +1 to mercenary to help him actually find the person who betrayed the party at that time. His clothes are reinforced. He has eyes like an endless ocean and are very blue. He is short and broad. And a lot of his coloring and stuff is actually clover colored across his armor. His attitude is like a bull, and he fancies himself a hero.
Also,
right.
I forgot to say, my character's pronouns are they, them. And I
Oh.
know I messed it up the first 2 times I said it in my introduction. Cam, go back and edit it.
You obviously hate non-binary people, dude.
I know. It's not just that 99% of my characters are just he, him because of me.
No, can't be it.
I go, yes, this is me. I know my pronouns.
We had some fun. We looked at the character sheets here. I really like the connection questions, even if some of them are weird. Just the way we had to spin them together, has kind of already created a mini adventure of what
I'm
we've
so
done
sad
together.
I'm so sad no one's playing Bard. I just wanted someone to ask me why I hold their hand.
Why do you hold their hand at night?
Why do you hold my hand at night?
You could have done Bard and then asked everyone that
Yeah,
question.
you could have
I
played
would-
Bard,
Yeah.
Kevin.
Bard asks literally everyone. They just wake up to everybody holding their hand. Guys,
Who are you people?
this is getting weird, guys.
At the time of this, we got the information early, but it won't be coming out until after the embargo, which is March 12th. But we will be live today when this video comes out, trying this game out with a one-shot. So, with the characters we've made, as the rules come out then, and I figure what better than to do a good follow-up. So, we'll be checking it out there. If you have any questions about the system, we'll do our best to answer live or I'll answer in the comments. And yeah, how do you guys feel about the character creation overall?
This is a good character creator. I'm excited to see the actual rules.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Fully agree with that sentiment, yeah.
I can't wait to see how screwed I am at making my evasion too.
I feel like I have a lot more to my character at level 1 than some systems I've played, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That seems true.
I'm really
That-
fascinated. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, that being said, I think I made a character that's really just gonna blow their load immediately and then be screwed. And then die.
Well, hopefully we'll prevent that from happening. I'm very curious. This game is a very interesting mix between kind of like rules light and rules heavy kind of gameplay. It's got a lot of systems from other, like, the fascinating thing is I've seen so many other game systems kind of brought into this one, but nothing feels like it overtly clashes necessarily, which is very good. So very curious to see how it goes. And well, like I said, you guys will be seeing our live play today, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to about 8 Pacific Standard Time. And then I will cut that down and make a video about it. And we'll get that like a week later. So, but that's going to be it for us. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck with your games. Leave bad luck to me. And we'll see you on our live play. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.